Ozonics Killerwinds podcast. Back again. Here we are.
We're here.
Nick, Cole, Nick, Cole, Nick.
We're here.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
What are we talking about today? We're talking about a couple things. First, we're talking about Iowa Deer Classic.
Yep.
Podcast airing on Monday. Welcome to March. Here we are. February, rearview mirror.
See you later, February.
See you later, -0 degree,
Yeah.
5 below.
Yeah.
Gandhi. See ya. Hasta luego.
See you next year, bub.
Yeah. I hope Mother Nature's not listening, because if she is, she's probably like, you know what? Just for that, you guys are going to get it.
Yeah.
We're still going to get it. I'm sure we're going to get it.
Yeah.
But we are coming off some nice weather here lately.
Really
Melted all the
nice.
snow.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't been shed hunting yet, you're too late.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially after that real cold snap, I would think pretty much everything dropped.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we are on the cusp of the Iowa Deer Classic. We will be setting up the show on Thursday, and we will be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you the booth number, but
Ooh, yeah, I don't even know.
we're in the same area that we've been the last few years. We've done the Iowa Deer Classic for quite a few years. The nice thing about that is we usually end up kind of somewhere right in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you walk down any of the middle aisles, you're going to find us.
Yep, you'll see us.
We're right there.
Yeah, we're right in the dead center pretty much.
Yep, pretty much nice, right in the dead center. Yeah, the Iowa Deer Classic is always a fun thing, because especially being from Iowa, for me, there's a lot of pride in that. You know, I've been going to the Iowa Deer Classic since I was a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, seriously, dude, I remember being in high school, skipping out of school on a Friday afternoon and going to it on Friday, and then driving back to Belmont on Friday night, and then going back down on Saturday or going back down on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
I remember sitting in seminars, listening to Chuck Adams talk, and just all, kind of different things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like the iconic thing about the Iowa Deer Classic always is the aisle numbers.
Yeah, the banners.
The banners have been the same forever.
Yeah,
They've
that's so
always
cool.
been those banners.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it's always fun to see a lot of good friends and,
Yeah, exactly.
catch up. And most of all, it's really fun for us to be able to talk to, hunters that use Ozonics, that walk in and want to chat.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll have some awesome show specials while we're there. But yeah, it's always a good time.
Yeah, and not even really hunters hunters that don't use Ozonics. I think that you get a lot of valuable conversations with that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Teaching people and
Oh, yeah. And I think the other thing that I've noticed the last few years about the Iowa Deer Classic than in years past is a lot of guys from out of town.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
guys that are looking to draw, that are thinking of drawing, that are right on the cusp, or they're looking at outfitters. They come to the Iowa Deer Classic.
right.
You hear guys every year that fly in from North Carolina, drive down from Minnesota, wherever they might be from, come from the South, and they come to the Iowa Deer Classic.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it's really a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for it. This is one of my favorite shows for sure that I've been to. It's cool.
But yeah, no, we're just coming off of Harrisburg, where we have a 10x40 booth, and then here at Iowa we do a 10x30.
Yeah.
So that's kind of handy in the fact it's nice to have the extra space, but we don't have too much space. We don't have not enough. Just right amount, and it's a little easier to set up.
Yeah, way quicker.
Yep, a little quicker. Iowa Deer Classic, the one thing that's always nice about them, too, from like an exhibitor perspective, they're always super cool about moving in and getting you driven in right to your spot and unloading, and we try to always get there pretty early, that we're just kind of Johnny on the spot, get it set up, and then we kind of get out of there before it gets busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, Iowa Deer Classic. Whoa. Light fell. The light fell.
Lost the light.
Hey. It's the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're right on the cusp. Yeah, like I said. And then after the Iowa Deer Classic, we only have one more after that. We're doing the Wisconsin Open Season Sportsman's Expo.
Kind of a mouthful.
Yeah. No, but I think, and I'm trying not to get, I don't want to get too far ahead of the game here, but I think the big thing we need to do with Wisconsin is the thing that we didn't do last year, which I really regret. You know what I'm going to say?
Oh, yeah. Yep, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yep, we're doing it.
Do you want me to say it?
Yes.
Go down a water slide.
Yes. We're going, not even a water slide, we're going to a water park.
And we're just going to...
We are going to act like we're 12-year-old kids. We are going to go crazy on the water park. The only thing I won't do is if they've got one of those straight down ones.
Oh, them are my favorite.
Nope, no way.
My
I'm out.
favorite one is the one where the floor drops out from under you.
I'm not doing that one
It's
either.
so fun.
Do they have? Hopefully, they should have like a wave pool. That's what I want to do. Is a wave pool.
Lazy River.
Lazy River. I like the Lazy River too. Let's just do the ones where we don't have to worry about getting injured.
Okay.
That's why I don't think I could ever be a skier, because I'm always afraid I just be afraid I might break my leg.
Yeah. Hey, there's always a chance when you're skiing.
Skiing, snowboarding, just not my thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we're not doing a water park in Iowa. There's no water park in Iowa. Maybe there's water park in Des Moines somewhere, but we're not going to it.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, should be a heck of a good time. Like I said, if you're listening and you're going to be around, stop by. We'd love to chat.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be there.
Yep.
And I'll tell you the thing I think is going to be really interesting this year, especially with just how little snow we've had, and then the way this kind of cold has lined out. Really going to be interested to see the shed contest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The Iowa Deer Classic, when it comes to I don't even know if they call it like a big buck contest, or I think it is technically.
Yeah.
Because they have like a first, second place, third place, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But where they have all the bucks showcase, the whitetails, and then all the sheds and everything from the season, from this spring, that's always really something to see.
Yeah, it's really cool to go see that.
Oh, man. It's just crazy to see the deer that have been shot. Be really interesting to just hear some of the conversation that people will be having around EHD.
Mm-hmm.
What guys that we know that hunt kind of southern central Iowa, what they're saying.
Yep.
You know, in that regard, it could be kind of a little bit of a somber show in that way.
Right.
I think there's a lot of deer that guys were hoping they could probably put in the buck contest that, you know, are just a deadhead.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something if they had an EHD category?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
That's kind of not funny, but funny.
Yeah.
That's actually a good idea. We actually talked to a couple of the guys from the Outdoor Sportsman's group that do like North American Whitetail Bowhunter Magazine, and they're going to be there with, you know, looking for opportunities for whitetails that they'd like to showcase in the magazine.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I thought, didn't Jeff Waring tell us that they had a score that a Pope and Young score that will be there with them or on their behalf, trying to score deer and looking at opportunities that, hey, would you be willing to tell us your story? Do you be willing to share it? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know, that would be really neat.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
All right, let's put a bow in it on the Iowa Deer Classic. We're going to be there. If you're around, show up, park your car or truck, find your way into the Iowa Event Center, not the Wells Fargo Arena, because I think they'll have girls' state basketball going on there. That's always a little bit of a cluster because there's a lot of parking going on.
A lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
A lot going on. Find your way into the Iowa Deer Classic. Come and find us.
Say what's up.
Say what's up. Sit down. Let's have a chat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'd be awesome to see everybody.
Yes, it will. No, I'm really excited about it. It's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, next subject. Turkey hunting is right around the corner.
Yep, it's right.
We are T-minus, for sure, T-minus 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
The Iowa season opens a little bit later than it's in the past.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I didn't make the decision. We are where we are. The season opens just a skosh later.
Yeah.
So we're probably still 6 weeks out.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Let's just say 6 weeks. Let's just say that. I don't even know if that's accurate, but it's pretty close.
Pretty close to 6 weeks.
Yeah. So one thing that Nick has been really doubling down on for this spring is trying to get better at calling.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still on a mullet mission right now.
Yep.
Even though you like your mullet.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
You're on a mullet mission. You're on a mission to kill a turkey, a big old Tommy, with the bow and arrow.
Yep.
Yep. With the old Matthews Phase 4 compound bow.
Yes.
Yep. So, but one of the things that you did at Harrisburg is you bought yourself a nice slate call. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the name of the brand, the guy, the manufacturer.
Garrett Ridge Turkey Calls.
Garrett Ridge Turkey Calls. And as we drove back from Harrisburg, we had a lot of conversation about turkey calling and how you do it or what you're doing and what I do and blah, blah, blah. My disclaimer before we start, I am not a world-renowned turkey caller. Okay? That's what I'm going to say first. I know what works for me. You can take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt. It could mean nothing.
You can toss it out the window if you want to.
You can turn the pot off. Please don't turn the pot off. But you can if you want to. Okay? I'm not God's gift to turkey calling. I have figured out what works for me. And so we're going to talk about it.
Yep. That's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about turkey calling. So right off the bat, the thing I'll say as we get into this, I think the type of calling that you do really kind of, for me, kind of stems from what type of hunting do you do, and also what type of birds are you hunting, and or what time of year you were hunting in.
Yeah, it seems in a little bit that I've
and
learned.
I think also the location, but I think the type of bird, location kind of goes hand in hand.
Right.
Do you follow me?
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it. I say all that to say I do a lot of turkey hunting in Iowa. I do a lot of archery turkey hunting. So, and the style that I archery turkey hunt is I sit in a ground blind. When I turkey hunt, I'm more of the sit and wait.
Yeah.
It's a war of attrition, right? I get out there, I get in I don't know if you would call it like a high traffic area, but I get where I think there's a good chance that birds are going to end up.
Yeah.
Whether that's right away in the morning or at 10 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I try to put myself in a good position and then I just wait.
Yeah.
Inherently, what that means is that sometimes I think calling turkeys, it's like, have you ever seen the movie Hitch? Will Smith and whatever that other guy's actor's name is, they're talking about how when you kiss, you do like the 90-10. Like you're supposed to come 90 and then she's supposed to come 10. And I think that applies a lot to turkey hunting.
Right.
When you're running and gunning and you're gun hunting them and you're moving, it becomes kind of that it can be that 90-10 rule, or it can be the 60-40 rule or whatever, where you start to come some and they start to come too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Does that make sense? But with the way I do it, I'm not giving it all.
Yeah.
I'm staying in one place. I'm trying to get them to come all the way.
Yeah.
They have to walk all the way in. It's not a 90-10, it's like 100-0.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So inherently it doesn't always work. I feel like over the years that's kind of honed my skills in how I turkey call.
Yeah.
I also will say though in the next breath that there seems to be at times no rhyme or reason, which is what I love about turkey hunting the most, is that you could be a world-renowned turkey caller, which I'm not, but you could be, and you can go out on any given day and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
You just can't seem to do anything right. You're like, man, dude, I feel like if I wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. That's what makes turkey hunting so exciting.
Right.
The next day, the next hour, that afternoon, all of a sudden they flip the switch and they just come running in.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I love this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've experienced that.
Yeah.
I think that's for you why you've been so hook, line, and sinker on turkey hunting. When I first met you, you were like, oh, yeah, turkey hunting. Oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, man, this is like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
And now you're all in.
Yeah.
You're really into it.
Yeah.
And I think, so getting back to it, because I archery hunt them the majority of the time, I'm sitting them on spot and I'm trying to get them to come the whole way.
Yeah.
The nice thing about running and gunning is that kind of style is a bit different than what I would do in an archery situation. When I used to work in Colorado and guiding out in Colorado, and we would take lots of turkey hunters, some guys wanted to sit and they wanted to try to shoot them with a bow. Sometimes you sit in ground blinds with gun hunters too.
Yeah, exactly.
But a lot of times we were running and gunning. But it's interesting because what I feel like for me, if you were to ask me how I've been the most successful with turkey hunting over the last 20 some years, I feel like it is sitting and waiting. You know what I mean? I control a lot more variables in that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody knows turkeys have incredible eyesight.
Yeah.
You can get away with so much more in a ground blind.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like when you just kind of let them do their thing, it doesn't always work out.
Right.
But I just feel like I've been pretty successful sitting and waiting. Some people don't like that. I mean, we've had Zach Rinn on this podcast over the years, right?
Yeah.
And He's like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I love running and gunning. I love
Reaping
them
them
in.
and-
I love doing that where I can hear them on the roost and I'm making a move and I'm going over a ridge and down this big hill and across the creek and back up the other side and I'm making a move. I'm just, and if that one doesn't work out, okay, see ya, and you go to the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's how, and like Jason Mears is a lot like
Same
that.
way, yeah.
Yep, avid bow hunter, but when it gets to be turkey season, he's like, yep, forget that.
Yeah,
I want to get out there and I want to run and gun.
yeah,
And I think the other part about it too is it kind of comes down to where you're hunting. Like I said earlier, what type of birds you're hunting. If you're hunting easterns and you're hunting in Iowa, you can get out there and run and gun and you can reap and everything else. If you're in Pennsylvania, you can't do that.
can't do that. Yeah.
You also can't spot and stalk turkeys there. Do you follow me?
Yep.
Which that's such a tricky thing because you can like move towards them, but you can't spot and stalk them. But isn't that kind of spot and stalking?
Yeah.
Like it's weird. Like you could hear a bird and you could make a move, but you have to like sit before and you can't like surprise them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know all the specifics.
Yeah.
But then, for example, if you're hunting Osceolas in Florida, I know guys that have guided for Osceolas in Florida, and I mean, I've heard them talk about how they've gone through a whole season and only heard a gobble once.
Yeah, that's crazy.
One gobble the whole season.
That is wild.
They get real weary, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot more predators. It's not just a coyote or something like that. It's alligators. It's
snakes.
It's all this other stuff that's going after them. So they get real finicky.
Yeah.
You know, and then you hear about Merriams. Oh, everybody says, oh, Merriams are so stupid. I don't know. I've hunted Merriams. Like, I don't know if I'd say they're the smartest bird out there, but they're still a turkey.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, and then you hear guys in Texas with Rios that in parts of Texas, they can kill half a handful of them. You know what I mean? And they just gobble and run right in. Like, it's just, you know, it's just weird.
Yeah.
So it just really kind of depends on, again, the location, the type of bird you're hunting, you know, and then I also think the time of year and the amount of pressure that's been put on them really can determine what you're doing.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think as I've gotten into it, and maybe when I'm saying all this, it sounds really complicated. It doesn't necessarily have to be.
Right.
But there is a lot of factors that go into it.
Yeah.
I say all that to say that I think sometimes guys will go out turkey hunting and they'll go out and call and they're just like, oh, I'm not having any luck. Like, I don't know what's going on. Well, you know, you could be hunting pressured birds or you could be doing making, you know, probably not the right type of noise that you'd be wanting to make in that situation. You know what I'm saying? And so it can be hard. I think the other thing that and I know I experienced this as a younger person, you know, you just get a turkey call and you just like go out there, but you don't spend that much time actually using the call.
Yeah.
Riding around in your truck with mouth calls, just practicing.
Yeah.
It's taking time at your house, your apartment, wherever you are, and actually putting the striker on the slate and really spending some time on a box call and trying to get better at it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of guys just like turkey season comes like, oh, okay, I guess here we're going with turkey hunting.
Yeah.
And they just take it out there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like
no,
practice
definitely.
makes perfect.
Yeah.
And whatever you do before the game starts is going to really help you in the game.
Practice how you play.
Yeah. And so, and I think that's where you're at right now is you're really just trying to get better at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time just playing around with it, trying different things, like just like figuring out what works for me and how, you know, to make the sound that I'm trying to make. And it feels like I'm starting to get a hang of it a little bit. I mean, in a couple podcasts ago, I believe we talked about how it would take a little bit for me to get the right tone and pitch as I was like doing a sequence. Now I've gotten to the point where I can get it pretty close on the first swing of it. So definitely feels like I'm starting to get a little bit better, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and like I said, that's the other part about it too is the type of calls that you use. I really prefer a slate call and a mouth call.
Yeah.
I've actually, if you're listening, you can't see this, but I've got kind of a bunch of stuff laid out here, and we're going to go into this in a bit.
Yeah.
But I have a couple slate calls that I've really started to really like. I've got a whole Ziploc of strikers.
Sounds like a rattle bag.
Yeah, I got a lot of strikers, and you can't see it if you're listening, but I've got 3 containers of a bunch of old, nasty mouth calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really like slate calls, and I really like mouth calls.
Yeah.
I I don't prefer a box call.
Yeah.
I know how to use a box call. I have box calls. I don't know. That's just not my thing.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I think it's just kind of situational. I mean, you do a lot of hunting out of a blind, and that's very conducive to using a slate call. So,
well, yeah, and again, you can get away with a lot more movement. Sometimes, if you're trying, you're 100% right on track. If you're trying to gun hunt and you're sitting up against a fence line or a tree, and you understand that turkeys have incredible eyesight, and any movement you make,
yeah,
they're going to see. You're probably not sitting there trying to have your gun on your knee and trying to do a slate call. You're probably running a mouth call.
yeah, exactly.
You follow me? Now, there are types of things that you can buy that you can get a slate call to stay on your leg, and you could go back and forth. It's still really tricky.
Yeah.
If you're hunting in really wet conditions, slate calls can be kind of hard.
Yeah.
Now, there are waterproof strikers and things that'll work for slate calls, but it can be hard.
Yeah.
And like I said, some people really like a box call for locating turkeys.
Yeah.
You can really crank on a box call. So it just really comes down to personal preference and really the type of, like we talked about before, the type of kind of tone and pitch that you prefer.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of has their own, what sounds good to their ear.
Right.
I know I like a very bright sound. I don't like it to be, there's a fine line between bright and tingy.
Yeah.
I like a bright sound. I like a sound that I can create rasp in the tone, like in the tone.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not the greatest mouth caller. There's some things with a mouth call like I don't feel super good about doing.
Yeah.
I just kind of stick within what I'm good at. I'm really good at clucking and purring with a mouth call, yelping with a mouth call.
Yeah.
If I have to try to gobble, I'll do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the way I am. And again, sitting in a ground bot, I can kind of get away with a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
If I were to go out and run and gun, I wouldn't even bring my slate calls. I would just bring mouth calls.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's and I think that's the part I wanted to kind of get into. I'm kind of hope I'm not jumping all over the map too much.
Yeah.
Is it all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So we actually printed this off. This is from NWTF right off their website. And I Googled it too, and everybody can. There's a lot of noises that a turkey makes.
Yeah.
I've seen anywhere from 23 noises, 28 noises.
Yeah.
Google AI said 28.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of noises
Yeah.
that a turkey makes.
Yep.
It's incredible. We'll put a link in the description on this video. You can find it as well.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not speaking out of turn there.
No, you're good. Yeah, you can find it.
But yeah, if you go to this NWTF website and you go to this link, it actually has really, really in-depth little descriptions about all these different noises that a turkey makes. We're not going to go into every single detail here because I don't want people falling asleep driving off the road.
Yeah.
There's assembly calls for hens, clucks, cluck purr, cuts, excited yelp, fly down, cackle, obviously gobble, a kiki run, plain yelp, purr, putt, tree calls. It's unbelievable how many different noises a turkey can make.
Yeah.
That's, I think, one of the things that, and again, it's funny how far it's come. When I first started turkey hunting, the internet wasn't even really a thing.
Yeah.
I bought Primos DVDs. I bought videos that they used to produce. I don't even know who made them, but they used to make DVDs of just turkeys in the woods.
Yeah.
And you could just try to mimic them.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I would do. I had DVDs of just turkeys like calling.
Yeah.
Just vocalizations of turkeys in the woods.
Yeah.
And then I would just try to copy it.
Yeah, exactly.
When I actually, way, way back in my younger days, when I first started turkey hunting, I gun hunted. I actually got to go down to Missouri with a friend of mine, and he had harvested, I don't even know. He was a biologist, but man, he called so infrequently. I mean, it was like he hardly called at all.
Yeah.
And he called incredibly soft.
Yeah.
And I remember when I started calling, he didn't do it like to make fun of me, but I remember he was just, it was like cringing for him. He's oh man, you're calling so loud.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? He's like, oh man, you don't have to call that loud. I'm like, huh. And I tend to call louder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Part of that is because when I am hunting, again, in the morning, I'm not calling super loud. It's like you kind of understand where the birds are.
It's situational again.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, and he was really into a box call, man. He really loved a box call and a mouth call. And so, but there's a lot of different calls that you can make.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I would say right up front is, and I've talked to you about this, and this is kind of what we wanted to get into is keep it really simple.
Yeah.
Really, really simple at first. Yelping. Just yelp, but be careful not to yelp 27 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that I would say is stick to yelping. And then the big thing I would say is stay away from like an emergency cluck.
Yeah.
There's a fine line between like a putt or a cut and an emergency cluck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That emergency where they go, "Burk," like, "Burk,"
Yeah.
and then you just all of a sudden see all the heads go up and everybody goes, whoa.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, danger.
Yeah, exactly.
Or when if you've ever been walking through the deer woods and all of a sudden you bump turkeys, you hear them make that noise.
Yeah.
That very loud, clear, one just putt or cluck. And they're like, whoa, danger, time to go.
Yeah, let's get going.
So you got to be careful, right?
Yeah.
That's something to kind of stay away from. But then I think the big thing when it comes to calling, and I think I've really been trying to talk to you about this, is just do what the turkeys are doing.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't make sense to just sit there and reap on your slate call or really, really get super loud and aggressive on a yelp when they're in the tree.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not what you hear. That's not what you hear hens doing on the tree.
Yeah.
It's just like when they wake up in the morning, it's just very soft. It's very, subtle.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Just starting to get going.
Yep. And then you'll hear that fly down. You'll hear them sometimes when they fly down, they'll yelp as they fly down, and then all of a sudden they get on the ground. Then everything starts to pick up.
Yeah.
I think turkey hunting is it's a conversation.
Right.
And you just have to, that conversation can build.
Yeah.
But you just have to be careful not to get the cart in front of the horse.
Right.
First you have to say, hey, how you doing? My name's Cole. Hey, my name's Nick. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from here. You have this conversation. You don't all of a sudden start with, skip to section F and you're telling them your life story. You haven't even introduced yourself yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
And I think that you're doing the right thing, and I think you are getting better about getting into, I think what novice turkey hunters tend to do is they call a lot, because they'll hit their slate 4 or 5 times to find that tone they like.
Yeah.
And then they'll do it 10 more times after that.
Right.
And they're like, oh man. And they really liked how it sounded at the end.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And sometimes turkeys will yelp a ton.
Yeah.
But just not all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think you got to be careful with that.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Am I jumping all over too much?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I was going to kind of get into some of the calls that I like. There's so many out there.
Yeah.
Just like this Garrett Ridge
Turkey calls.
turkey calls. We're in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This guy's making these calls at his house.
Yeah.
Like cutting wood in his back 40 or whatever.
Yeah.
And you kind of come across this like gem of a turkey call.
Yeah.
Which I think for me, I think that part is such a fun part of the hunt too.
It's so fun.
Yeah. Finding that type of stuff.
Yeah.
The one thing I would suggest doing, and maybe this sounds really silly, but date stuff. Man, I wish I knew how long, like this striker right here. You can't see it if you're listening. That's not the sound it makes. I have had this striker for a long time.
Yeah.
You can see the just scummy dirt. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a smell to it.
A little must.
Yeah, it's got a little musk to it. I love this striker. And when I first got it, it was shiny and it doesn't look like much.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like much at all. You're like, oh, that looks pretty simple.
Yeah.
There are a lot fancier ones out there.
Right.
For whatever reason, the way I call this thing just really sings.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really almost broke it. No, I'm just kidding. I just dropped it. Like I said earlier, I like a bright sound. I don't think we're going to do much of, it's funny because I would turkey call all day long.
Yeah.
And I don't mind doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We don't know how it's going to sound if you're going to be sitting there listening. It's been like, yiska.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I like a bright sound. I carry 2 slate calls with me right now. I've always usually carried 2.
Yeah.
I used to carry a long time ago. Jeez, this is a long time ago. Way at the beginning. I used to carry, and some guys, I think they still make these, Primos Power Crystal. Used to carry Primo's Power Crystal a long time ago. I really liked that call. And then when I was guiding in Colorado, I guided this guy that was a really good turkey caller. Dude, he had like a booklet of turkey calls.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I remember him, like, I've got these here. He had like a little zipped booklet.
That's awesome.
It was open it up and it was like this whole thing of turkey calls. And he was a turkey caller. I was like, wow, bro. He was really good. Well, he, shot a turkey and he was all excited. And he gave me this call. It's a Cody turkey call. And it's got a really specific design on the back.
Yeah.
You can zoom in on the camera.
Yeah.
Right in front of your face hole.
Put it to
my camera.
Yeah, put it to that one.
Whoa. I'm gonna break something today. So it's got a real specific design of like, it's weird. It looks like a turkey that got like stabbed by some sort of a knife or pitchfork or I don't know what's going on. I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
It's got this just really weird turkey on the back, but the call doesn't feel like much. Yeah. There ain't much to it. It's really, really light. I never thought that much of it. I knew right when I got it, I'm like, wow, that sounds good. It's got a rasp in it when you use it, and it's got a tone that will kind of go like multiple tones within the yelp. It sounds really good.
Yeah. If you want, you can hit it. Just back up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So you're not right under the
mic. So that's the other thing I was going to say about turkey calling. I don't know. This is just the way I do it. I don't think anybody taught me this. I think about turkey calling with a slate call like variables.
Yeah.
You'll see me. I do the same thing like every time.
Yeah.
I cut my hand on the call like this, so I can kind of direct it like a speaker.
Yeah.
You'll see it during turkey season. I put the side of the call with my right hand that has a striker in it. I put my middle knuckle of my pinky right on the edge.
Yeah.
I end up getting like a big old mark there as the season goes on, but I put my pinky right there. And then I kind of hold this like a pencil, just like I would be writing with a pencil.
Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Yep.
And then when it comes to I think when it comes to slate calling, striker angle is really important.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I don't hold it straight up and down where it's like perpendicular to the slate call. Yeah. I also don't hold it at like a 90 degree.
Yeah, super severe angle.
It's probably like a 45 or 30 degree angle, right? And I find myself kind of coming from the like calling from the top down.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've learned over the years, and I think a lot of people know this, but when you look at a turkey call, if you think like the top is 12, 6, 3, 9, I tend to call a lot at that kind of 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that seems like where this call, these like a lot of slate calls resonate the best.
Yeah.
I also to mention, I like a glass. I like glass.
Yep.
There's slate calls. I like glass. Another dorky thing that I do, you'll see some people that will only scratch like a little section of their call. I scratch the whole dang thing. I don't know. Like, I'm also a real dork about I scratch it the same way every time. You ever scratch her?
Oh, yeah, it's like that.
So, like I said, I tend to go kind of from the top down when I call. And so what I do is, and there may be nothing to this, but if I'm calling from the top down, from let's say from 11 o'clock towards 9 o'clock, I sand the call from 3 to 6 all the way across. I sand perpendicular to the way that I'm calling. Does that make sense?
Yep.
In my reasoning to that is if you had like a magnifying glass and you zoomed in on this and could do it all in slow-mo, you would see all these bumps and ridges of the sanded area, and then I'm pulling it across that, and that's what's making this and resonating this noise.
Yeah.
If there's any truth in that or not, but that's what I like, and that's how I do it. I really like this Cody call, and then
really cool.
Like a month or two ago, I was like, what if I get another one? So I looked on the internet.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't get them unless if you want to pay a lot of money on eBay.
Yeah. So I wish I had still had the guy's information that gave me this, because I come to find out I think these are pretty coveted.
Yeah, definitely.
I really like it. There may be people that could see this and go, I can't believe you actually used it, but I don't know. It's a turkey call.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me. They all do. And that's what I was saying earlier. I wish I would have dated it.
Yeah.
I wish I would have taken a marker on the side and wrote, April 22nd of 2010.
Yeah, exactly.
2011. It would have been somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I wish I would have wrote that on there and then just taken a little thing of clear coat and clear coated over it.
Yeah.
And then be like, there you go. Now I know.
Yep.
And someday I'm hoping that I can keep this from breaking and I can give this to my boy Jet,
Yeah.
and say, hey man, kill a lot of turkeys with this call. Here you go, buddy.
Right.
That mean they mean a lot.
Yeah.
Like you said, this Cody call, I really like it a lot.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, I couldn't tell you what type of wood this is. But the striker, I'm going to get to strikers in a minute. I also carry my brother-in-law got this for me. It's called Lights Out Custom Calls.
Yeah.
The cool thing about this one, it already was dated. Yeah. And every call's a little different. Like if you pull out your call, the other thing about the calls too is like the back, how the number of holes I have in the back and kind of how that sound, comes out of the call. This one has like what, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 holes. This one only has 6.
This has 7.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Like, look at this, look at the kind of the holes and the difference in the way that the holes are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Way different. Yeah. Whoa, that's a cherry wood.
Yep.
This is definitely not a cherry wood.
I can't remember what that was. I think I found it online once, and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah,
but.
and this is something even different. I don't know if this looks like a walnut. I don't know. But yeah, like you said, I find myself, whatever call it is, I'm always, like I said, I'm always calling kind of at that 11 o'clock mark. Like I said earlier, I find myself putting my pinky on the about 2 o'clock, and then I'm kind of creating that 30-degree angle.
Yep. And
then I'm going from top down. And then when I use a slate call, I make small circles.
Right.
That's what I do. I make really, really small circles, just small circles. You can always look. I was telling Nick, after you get on call and just look at your call, you can see the circles and you can see how big or small they are. The smaller the circle, the bigger the circle, how much pressure you put, the volume, so you can go really small circle, really soft. You can go big circle really loud. You can kind of hear that 2-pitch, like yeah.
Yep.
I really like that. That's kind of what I really like. That's my jam.
Yeah.
And again, you can kind of hear the brightness. This one has got a bit more of a rasp to it. I gotta talk with a lisp. This has got a bit more of a rasp. And then you can hear comparatively to like this lights out call, this is brighter, a lot brighter. Yep. But there's a fine line because like if I'm right here, but if I go a little higher, all of a sudden it goes from bright to tingy. See, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Right. So you kind of have to find that spot that kind of resonates.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre, I don't know if that makes any sense, but so yeah, that's what I really like. I'm just trying to, that's for me is just a real basic yelp.
Yeah.
Not excited, just like, hey, I'm over here.
Yeah.
I really like that one.
Yeah, no, it sounds
golly. Yeah, this Cody one. But then, so again, that's a yelp. I think everybody knows that. But yeah, I used to just carry 2. I've been carrying 3 the last couple years. So I have my Cody call that I really like. I have this lights out call that I really like. Nick was very gracious and he bought me a Garrett Ridge. So I have this one at home.
Yep.
And then I also have another turkey call at home that I got, I think in Ohio years ago by like a guy that was a world champion slate caller.
Yeah.
And I haven't even touched that one. That was still in the clamshell packaging. But yeah, I've got more than I know what to do with. But what I've really started to do is collecting a lot of strikers.
Yeah.
Like you said, I really enjoy whatever this one is. But I also carry this one again. My main striker creates a very bright noise, which I really, really enjoy and like. I can putt and purr and yelp and everything with that. But I also really enjoy a striker that kind of has more of this just has a normal kind of just flattened tip.
Yeah.
This striker has more of a wider, it kind of flares that, and the actual surface area of the tip of the call is almost twice as big as the first one.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
What I like about this is this call, this will make it, I can get bright with this, but man, I really love to putt and purr and cut with this.
Yeah.
You can really get after it.
Yep.
This sounds bright like this, but it still just sounds a little different.
Yeah.
And then this one, interestingly, this one kind of has the surface area is almost an in-between in the three. You can see kind of small, medium, large of the surface area of the tips, okay? This one definitely makes more of kind of a higher pitch ting, which you have to be really careful with.
Yeah.
But sometimes what I like about all these strikers is it's about that tone and pitch, and you're kind of like just changing the conversation. Sometimes you kind of feel like it's like fishing.
Yeah.
What are they going to bite on today?
Right.
What are they going to call back to today? What are they going to react to today?
Right.
And I'll never forget, years ago, I had a spot on the other side of the river.
Okay. Yeah.
Man, I had these two toms that came out, and it was like, oh, baby, here we go. I sat on this tree line. I was facing north. They came out to the east. They were way out in the middle of this field. And I'm like, here we go. Yeah. And I'm having the conversation, and they didn't have any hens. So I'm like, oh, baby, here we go. And they stood out there, and they gobbled and gobbled and gobbled. And so then I did okay, let's just get really quiet. It got really quiet. Sometimes I just have to put it down.
Yeah.
Because I'll just keep calling, right? I have to be very, very careful. Put the call down. I've even set timers on my phone. Okay, 10 minutes. Don't call for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Pick it up. Smallest little yelp, and they just cock off. You're like, yes, but they won't take a step closer. You're like, come on, guy. And I'll never forget, I was using this call that day, this striker. And it was weird how sometimes you kind of don't realize that you're kind of doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it fun, right? But I'm using this striker, and I was using this Cody call, and it kind of hit me. I was like, you know what? Why don't I just switch it up? So I used this striker, and I remember I was like, well, this is my putt per striker. So you know what I'll do is I'll do like a putt per, kind of like a putt per, and then like a cut yelp, putt per, cut yelp, cut.
Yeah.
And I did that kind of sequence, which I can do that for you, but it was kind of like a. And they cocked off once, and I'm like, oh, heck yeah. So I just went back to the purr. Here, I can't do it. Went back to the purr, and I was kind of looking down, because I like to look at the call when I do it. Yeah. Nick's kind of funny because he likes to kind of like look around and pretend he's like calling.
I pretend I'm looking.
Yeah, he pretends he's like looking around. I like to look at it. I feel like that's better for me. I like to look at the call. So I'm putting, purring. And dude, I'll never forget. I'm like, oh, okay. I look up, they were running across the field. And I remember I like threw the call in the air, and I'm like, and I grabbed my bow, and they were running. I'm like, what? And they ran across the field. I mean, if you've seen turkeys run.
It's a classic.
They did the old classic, like, here I come with my man boobs and my beard swaying back and forth, and I'm coming, man. I'm on my way.
Yeah.
And they ran. I mean, and for whatever reason, the yelping and that striker, that call, they would shock gobble at it, but they just didn't, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Now, was that all just that was their final straw and then they finally did it? Or was it the striker? And it sure felt like it was the striker, and just going to like a putt per, a cut yelp, putt per. They just, for whatever reason, it just switched them, and they couldn't stand it, and they were on the move.
Yeah.
And so, again, like when you're out there turkeying and you hear turkeys putt and purr, sometimes you like, and we've had video of hens coming in and really putting and purring hard on the decoys.
Yeah.
But sometimes you'll have toms that when they're fighting, you'll hear that putt purr.
Yeah.
They'll be and there's like a whole pile of them.
Yeah.
It sounds like a frenzy.
Yeah.
And so, but again, like part of it too, I think that day is I heard them on the roost. I was having that conversation. They came out, they were trying to check it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, like that was it. The other thing to mention that and this has nothing to do with turkey calling, but one thing that I like to do too is I run decoys a lot.
Yeah.
The last however many years I've been using a lot of Dave Smith decoys. Man, they're awesome. They look so real. They're convenient. They're easy to carry.
Yeah.
I used to carry full taxidermied birds. I carried it for years.
Yeah.
I used to carry a full taxidermied Tom decoy, which I finally threw away.
Yeah.
I had the head lopped off like 3 times, flat lopped off, where a Tom came up and jumped up, spurred it, and just cut the head clean off. It was like a foam head. And he just cut it right off, dude. I swear it was off, like bing, bump on the ground, like, oh. And I had to glue it back on. And dude, you wouldn't, I can't tell you how many times I had pins in it trying to hold the wings on. Also, I can't tell you how many times it poked me in the side and the arm. I'd carry that thing. It was on this wood like deal. I used to carry stakes, and I would stake it to the ground because they would jump on it and tip it over.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a huge pain. And then the wind would catch it and the wings would fly off and the tail fan would fly off. It was a nightmare, but they loved it.
Yeah.
You know, but then sometimes they didn't, you know, sometimes they'd see that Tom and I didn't take it every time, but then other times they'd see that Tom decoy and they'd run the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
And I carried like a full taxidermied hen as well. I had 2 taxidermy hens. Mm-hmm. And then they finally took a kaput. The kids, like Bo, painted the toenails on one of them for one time, like painted like they were bright blue, sparkly. Like it was terrible.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, like, and I've gotten to carrying Dave Smith's, but then I like have another buddy that he bow hunts them a lot and sits in a blind. He will never take decoys.
Yeah.
Ever. He just calls them to where he is,
you
know, and there's a lot of truth in that too. There's been times that I feel like I always end up taking one decoy.
Yeah, something.
But there are times of the season where it just ends up being like one single hen.
Yeah.
You know, the season seems like earlier I kind of start with more, and then as the season goes on, it becomes less and less and less.
Yeah, which makes sense because it seems like early in the season they're kind of grouped up more, so it kind of makes sense.
Well, and it feels like earlier too, they're trying to figure out that pecking order.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a dominant bird out there.
Yeah.
And then there's all these other subordinate. There's like the 2.5-year-old, like first-year Toms, you know what I mean, that are just running around screaming with their heads cut off. And then there's those 3.5-year-old, maybe a 4.5-year-old bird.
Yeah.
That's the king of the mountain.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is his domain. Don't mess with him.
Yeah.
As soon as he comes on the field, everybody quiets down. I've experienced that. You've been with me, experienced that too, where all of a sudden they're all cocking off, gobbling shotgun, going crazy, chasing hens, and all of a sudden, big guy walks on the field, and it just gets he
dead quiet.
gobbles one time, and everybody's like, "You're cool, we're good.
Yeah.
Pretend I'm not here."
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? And everybody backs off, and then he goes exactly where he wants to, and he does exactly what he wants to.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so it really depends on the time of year.
Yeah.
You know, so I love that when I experience that, and you've been with me when we've heard it, like we've heard one gobble, you're like, whoa, and then everybody gets quiet.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh, and that's when I pick it up. I'm like, all right, bro, bring it on.
Yeah.
I'm over here. I'm the 12-year-old, 13-year-old little boy, 14-year-old that wants to pick a fight. Let's do this. I'm tough. Let's go.
It's funny. We heard that in the fall one time this year.
Yeah.
A bunch of jakes were gobbling barely,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden one of them just hammered off, and then you didn't hear another thing.
It got dead quiet.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was almost like he was like, okay, I'm tired of listening to you guys.
Yeah.
He cocked off, gobbled one hard one time, and it was a gobble.
Yeah.
And it was like, nope, we're good. And everybody was quiet.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah. So it just comes down to the situation, you know? But again, I think when it comes to starting out, and what I've been talking to Nick a lot about is when in doubt, call less, call quieter, copy what they're doing.
Yeah.
Stick to yelping, stay away from like that emergency cluck.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I would say is try to be inconsistent. Try to keep it creative. Just try not to get in the same thing.
Yeah.
Like here, when I'm trying to show you, like, or when I'm doing something and I'm just like, oh, here's what it sounds like. You'll hear me just kind of yelp 5 or 6 times. You know, it's just like, it's really like, you know, and there are times that's the call that I do.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's like a putt purr, and then maybe a cut or a putt purr yelp, then maybe a cut, or like purring inconsistently, sporadically.
Yeah.
You don't see hens that just do the same thing all the time.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then like you said, the other layer to that is mouth calls. You know, there's so many out there.
Yeah.
Single read, double read, triple read.
different cuts.
All these cuts. I don't even know all the cuts. There's so many.
Yeah.
You know, I think you have to just find something that kind of fits the roof of your mouth. Like for example, we see him on the road a lot. Eddie Salter is a guy that makes turkey calls. His calls are inherently quite a bit smaller.
Yeah.
These ones right here, this field proven calls, I don't even know where I got these. But if you look like the size of that one, but then look at the size of that one.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a lot bigger, and this is a lot smaller.
Yeah.
You know, so it comes down to personal preference.
Right.
There are times that when I get out there, sometimes it feels like a slate call just isn't working, or they're
Yeah.
just not responding to it. It's not working. I go to meet different strikers, still not working. I'll go to a mouth call.
Yeah.
There's some mornings that I don't even go to a slate call at all. I just go straight to a mouth call. Again, I have a tendency to try to start quieter and kind of feel things out and then get louder.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a bunch of them out there. The cool thing about a slate call is it's really easy to be practicing when you're driving down the highway.
Yeah. Exactly. With a mouth call, you mean?
Yeah, with a mouth call.
Yeah.
I unfortunately have practiced my slate call driving down the highway. Don't recommend it. But yeah, it's really easy on a mouth call to just practice whenever you need to.
Yeah. Toss it in and
Toss it in, man. It's easy. It's really easy. So I'm not going to sit here and crank on a bunch of mouth calls, but yeah, there's tons of them out there. It just really comes down to personal preference.
Yeah.
They don't break the bank to buy. I would suggest if you buy one, buy a couple.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you could wear them out, or you lose it, or you drop it in the mud and you step out and you're like, oh, great, now it tastes like dirt.
Yeah.
You know, so have a couple extra.
Yeah, exactly.
I find myself in just carrying in these little plastic cases they come in. There are companies out there like Primos makes, lots of these companies make these types of holders. And you can see I've just got a whole pile of them in here. Hunter Specialties used to make one a long time ago, and I found some like at Fleet Farm a while back, and I bought every one they had. It was called the Derringer. I really liked that one.
Yeah.
And I've kept those. I feel like that one really works good for me. That guy that we see on social media all the time, what's his name? That Bo Brooks.
Bo Brooks.
I bought a couple calls from him years ago. Power calls, is what they were called. I bought some of those. I think when we were at NWTF or somewhere. But yeah, there's a bunch of them out there.
Yeah, tons of them.
That's like I said. That's one thing really is good about the kind of tie this together. That's one thing good about the consumer shows. If you're at Harrisburg, if you're at Iowa, you're at Wisconsin, guess what? You're buying chocolates right before Valentine's Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? You're buying turkey calls right before turkey season. There's going to be guys out there that are selling calls.
Oh yeah.
And buy a couple.
Yeah,
You know, you could get two of them for like $20, right?
Cheaper than that a lot of times.
Is it really? I don't even know. It's been so long.
I think the one that I bought a mouth call from that Garrett Ridge guy, and it was $6 for one of them.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Buy a couple.
Yeah.
Just see what you like.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like I said, if I really, really get a bird that we're like trying to work and he acts like he wants to like hold up, and I feel like I'm trying to throw the kitchen sink at him.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will slate call and gobble, or slate call and yelp and mouth call at the same time.
Yeah.
Or putt and purr with a mouth call and then yelp with my slate call.
Yeah, exactly.
Or gobble with a mouth call while I'm putting and purring or cutting on a slate call.
Yeah.
And just try to make it sound like I'm multiple birds.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, sometimes that can bite you, because all of a sudden I've done that where it's like, okay, I'm getting him to work on, making it sound like there's multiple birds, but then he comes over the hill and I've only got one hen set.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he goes, whoa, hold on a second. Where's everybody else?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I heard
Multiple.
I heard a party going on over here. Now I only see one.
Yeah.
Like, did they all run away? Is there danger? Or something happened? And all of a sudden they hold up,
Yeah.
And so you got to be careful about that. Sometimes that's just the way it works out. That's the way the cookie crumbles,
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like you said, I've got a ton. Whoa! I told you I'm gonna break something. I've got a ton of strikers. I've already explained my 3 favorites, but I got a whole pile of them here. Let's go through these here. You can hear. So these ones right here. It's funny that I don't even know why I have 3 of these. These are carbon strikers.
Carbon.
They're carbon. Actually, I did them before. They actually don't sound too bad. So I got 3 of those for some kind of dumb reason. 3 of them. I got 3 of those. I actually have a plastic striker. This doesn't sound very
It
good.
looks old school.
I apologize in advance.
Not terrible.
That's not too. I'm surprised that actually didn't sound too bad. I remember that being really plasticky. Let me hear it on the Cody. Hey, all right.
bad.
And then I have a Primos one that's got like a really pointy tip.
Yeah.
That's even smaller than the ones this definitely gets a bit higher pitched.
Yeah.
It seems like the smaller they get, the higher they get. Yeah. Yeah. And then I bought this. I remember I bought this at the Indiana Deer and Turkey Expo. It actually has a waterproof tip. I don't understand what that means or what it is exactly, but it's some sort of thing that they put in. You have one too.
Yep.
And you can like dip it in water. Your slate call gets wet, still work.
Yeah.
I don't know why the top fits this way. You hear people say that like the way that the strikers are designed, it kind of like resonates the noise,
Yeah.
or the way it hits. And that old timer liked that design. That was his thing. It seems kind of big and like weird and like heavy on the top.
Yeah.
It is like kind of weird, but sounds not too bad. It's funny because this one looks a lot like my favorite one, and this one really sounds like garbage. It's actually loose. This one might end up in the garbage.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I've got tons of strikers. Like I said, I don't use all of them, and a lot of these have just kind of end up kind of in a drawer full of stuff.
Yeah.
But I kind of try to keep them all together. But again, different strikers make different tones.
Yeah,
You just have to kind of find what you like and what works for you.
Yeah.
It's like your call here, this Garrett Ridge. The glass is very bright and just sounds awesome.
Yeah.
The small slate on the back is a lot more muffled, and it's great for that putt purr.
Yeah,
you can really get after it on a putt purr.
Yeah.
And then can I see your strikers once?
Yeah. Definitely.
So this Garrett Ridge, he came with two strikers. Was it like that, or did that happen?
It was like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what wood this is, but it's a darker wood, and then he's got one that's got that like waterproof tip on the end as well. So yeah, it's just kind of there's all sorts of different stuff. See, like that one doesn't like this.
There we go.
Yeah, see, like you kind of get used to what you're used to. Yeah, so there's lots of stuff out there.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'll say, some people do. I don't do this. You hear some people do it like on usually not ones that are rounded like that on the end because that's kind of specific to how they are. But I know a couple buddies that like to sand their strikers. So they have strikers that aren't this long anymore.
Yeah,
They're like this long.
Yeah.
And some people, I've heard people say like years and years ago, hasn't been for a long time, but the reason that strikers are the length they are so that when you're sanding them down, so like some guys will take it and they'll scratch it up.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
I prefer not to do it that way. For whatever reason, it's worked better for me that I just kind of keep it how it is.
Yeah.
And then I work off of that. Some people like to rough them up.
Yeah.
And they like to have this rough and that rough, and then it creates a different type of tone.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just comes down to real personal preference. But like you said, yeah. The other thing to say when it comes to turkey calling, one thing that I don't do a ton, and you hear some people that do it like all the time, is like a kiki.
Yeah.
I don't do a kiki a lot. I can do it on a mouth call. It's not really that, like, I don't do it on a slate call.
Yeah.
Some people like kiki a ton.
Yeah.
That's just not me. I don't know.
Right.
It can work. It can work, but that's just not me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's again, just kind of personal preference.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Here you go.
Thank you.
We're getting these all mixed up. Oh, I got the garbage one. And then like you said, I really like, I think this is by Primos, isn't it?
Yeah.
This little sander tool, which is pretty killer because you can really rough up a glass call here, but it also has this stone on the other side. But then it also has these, whatever this stuff's called. So you can rough up your slate if you have a slate. Yep. And it also has this in here if you're using it for a box call.
Yeah.
It's nice because they kind of fit in there. Or you
Yeah,
can.
they work
Some
great.
people carry sandpaper with them.
Yeah.
Sandpaper's nice if you do like to sand your strikers.
Yeah.
Whoa! I just hit the mic. Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
I think one of the things that Nick really went through, just since we're talking about this, is, oh, hey, what's in there? Oh, let's talk about sandpaper. In case things go wrong, I have some sandpapers.
There you go.
I didn't even know I had them in there. Forgot about that. So Nick was on just this real trip the last couple weeks trying to find a good turkey call case.
Yeah.
He was having a heck of a time. I have been using this Hunter Safety Systems turkey call, slate call case for a long time.
Yeah.
It holds 2 slate calls. You can put one in there really easily. The second one gets a little tricky.
Yeah.
But yeah, my Cody goes in the front, and then my lights out goes in the back. I like it because they zip right up, and that keeps them protected. It actually has a spot for strikers. You're only supposed to hold 2 strikers, but just because I am how I am, I make it hold 2. I make it hold 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what I do a lot. And then what I find myself doing is it's got this little clip that's broken, but I still can pinch it open, and then I clip this like right on
the blind or
on the blind somewhere, and I kind of have it at arm's length so I can get to it.
yeah.
Surprisingly, you can't get these anymore.
Yeah.
You can find them on eBay, maybe. You found one on eBay, didn't you?
Yeah.
But they're harder to come by.
Yeah.
You would think that somebody would make it because, man, it worked really good.
Yeah.
But you can't find them.
Yeah.
So Nick was on a mission. Well, here, come find out, Marsupial, it was their Marsupial, it was a multi-pack, right?
Yes.
Yep. Marsupial multi-pack. And actually, of all days, when this is airing, it has already been out for a few days, but they came out with a Bottomland camo marsupial collab,
Yeah.
a new color of the multi-pack. But that could be used for turkeys.
Yeah, exactly.
But you ended up going with, what do you got?
This is called a Chief Upland. I can't remember exactly what it was, what the actual like model was called, but it's very similar to Cole's, but as you can see, it's a little bit bigger.
That was a funny thing right off the bat, is we were kind of nervous about the size of it.
Yeah, we pulled it out of the package. I'm like, oh man,
whoa.
that thing is huge.
But actually, it's funny because this feels, this could not be any smaller.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of wish this was maybe a skosh bigger.
Yeah.
That is definitely bigger.
Yeah.
And it's actually really handy and nice the size that it is.
Yeah, and so just looking at it, obviously it has 2 striker holders. And it's got this really strong magnet where you can put mouth calls in.
Because that's one thing about this is I don't have a great mouth call place.
Yep.
I could maybe try to squeeze them in there.
Yeah.
But it just gets really tricky.
Yeah, so you can put that down. Magnet shuts there. And then on the
It's got an elastic
Yep.
like clip that you're kind of snaps back and kind of holds it all tight.
Yep. And then when you open it up, it's got a ton of room. I got my sander in there, and then fits 2 calls really nice and easy.
Yeah. And in the middle, if you wanted to, you could put your mouth calls in the middle on that sleeve.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's actually really sick. It's got a really good zipper.
Yeah.
And it's got like the molly straps on the back.
So like you could make this work on like your marsupial chest bino harness. And we tried that yesterday actually, and it does work just fine.
Yeah, it worked out really good.
And then I added just a piece of paracord there. Like Cole was saying, he hangs his up in the blind, and I kind of plan on doing the same. So I just added a piece of paracord, tied a nice knot, and then now I can just hang it from the blind.
Yep.
So
it's nice too because when you kind of hang it like that, you can kind of see it just kind of naturally kind of hangs open.
yeah, it opens it up a little bit. Yeah.
But the thing that's nice too about this one that I really like, just like what I like about mine is you can push the strikers like down that far if you want to, or you can push them like all the way in.
Yeah, and they ain't going nowhere.
They're not going anywhere. And that magnet on the front is actually pretty legit.
Yeah.
And this didn't break the bank.
No, I think it was like $35.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks pretty killer.
Yeah.
And it's really functional. I like the size. It's nice padding on the inside.
Yeah, it's got felt on the front side and the back side, so then you can put the slate towards that, so it's not going to get roughed up or anything.
Yeah. It's actually one of the kind of cool things too. It's got a little hole in the bottom.
Yeah.
So let's just say you get some like kind of random junk in there.
Yeah.
or if something really bad happened and they got wet, it would literally like drain it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of cool. But yeah, the zippers are pretty sick. Like you could just put it right there and then just clip that. And when you clip it, it actually kind of pushes it together.
Yeah, exactly.
And those zippers are good zippers. Like
Yeah.
it's really actually really nice. I really like it.
Yeah.
I think that marsupial one could work really good too, that multi-pack.
Yeah.
But again, with not being able to kind of find this, if this thing ever, bites the dust, I'll definitely be in the market for something like that. But I think it kind of seems weird to spend some time talking about this, but in the reality, this is a big part of it too.
Yeah.
Because especially using a slate call, sometimes you hear when the strikers are tinging against stuff and you got to try to, slates can be a bit more high maintenance.
Yeah.
Be a little more careful with them. Box calls can be too.
Yeah.
Mouth calls pretty simple.
Yeah.
But this kind of allows you to do the best of both worlds. You can put
exactly.
your mouth calls in the front. You can keep your strikers secure and safe.
Yeah.
And then if you get your box calls in there, really not getting disturbed.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had this on a marsupial pack or you had this on your backpack or whatever, it was a real wet day, this is going to stay pretty dry.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's pretty killer. I really like it.
Yeah, and it was, I was going around and around. I was looking at a lot of different brands and stuff, and it just felt like every single one had, almost too much. I was just looking for something simpler, like what Cole had, and so this really fit the bill, and I'm excited to put it to use here in a couple of weeks.
I'll tell you what, I'm not going to lie. Something that I think that we almost both impulse bought.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to say?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were in Harrisburg, and it didn't help that Jason Mears was there because Jason Mears, if you've ever met the guy, he bleeds Sitka.
Yeah.
He is a Sitka gear guy through and through.
Mm-hmm.
More power to him. I like Sitka gears too. I like a lot of them, right? He really likes Sitka gear. And Sitka came out with this awesome turkey vest.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's really
Well,
sweet.
Kuyu came out with a turkey vest.
Yeah.
Marsupial came out with a turkey vest.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of really innovative, well thought out, functional. Tethered came out with a turkey vest.
I think Tethered's been out for a couple of years, but
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yep.
but
But
still,
there's
though.
a bunch of really good vests out there.
yeah.
There was a bunch of good turkey vests before that.
Mm-hmm.
But they really kind of like took it to a kind of I don't want to say a different level, but just from like a just
Light and
creativity
just-
perspective and the way it's built and stuff, it's just different.
Yeah.
And Sitka has their turkey vest, then they have that turkey like
Turkey
duffel
tool belt.
Yeah, the turkey tool belt.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome
And
stuff.
Man, yeah, it's funny because I don't have, again, for me, when it comes to gear like that, it's like, what do I need and what do I want?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really, dude, I want one of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do I need that?
Probably
not the way I hunt.
Yeah.
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 I think Jason bought one there.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Because they had it in the new green Optifade.
Yeah,
Or
the new
whatever it's
green.
called.
Yep. And they had it. They had that Sitka one in a bunch of solids. We saw that
Yeah,
at
the
Shields.
solids it's so cool.
Where were we at when we saw that?
Well,
Iowa City.
Iowa City. Yeah.
Iowa City. They had a bunch of them
Yeah.
in the solids. Oh man, I really like the look of that.
I still want to get some sort of a vest for my
Well,
Wisconsin trip.
yeah. Yeah, you got some choices to make then because there's some really good ones out there.
I know.
I'll tell you the thing that, and again, the thing I would say about the Sitka vest that, and again, it's just the way you hunt. I'm not a box call guy.
Yeah, I know. And every single one of their things had a big, huge compartment for a box call. It's like,
A
gosh.
very padded, safe, awesome compartment for a box call.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very well thought out.
Yeah.
Not dissing it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And like, you could tell Jason was like, yeah, I like that. I'm like, no, man, I get it. I'm just not a box call guy.
Yeah.
But if you were, and depending on the size of the box call you have, it would have fit in that.
Yeah, exactly.
It was in the turkey tool belt and in the Sitka turkey vest.
Yeah.
It was legit.
Yeah.
It was legit. And the way it sized on the side, you could adjust it.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness, it was awesome. It had straps on the side here so you could hook the legs in, throw the turkey over your back, and you could just haul it out that way.
Yeah.
Very well thought
Super
out.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From a functionality perspective, it was like, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the Kuyu one's like that. I'm sure the
yeah, for
marsupial
sure.
one's like that.
For sure.
In the way of just, just killer functionality.
Really thought out.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's really neat. Like I said, if you're a gun hunter, Yeah, that would be super fun.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I've just got other stuff I want to buy.
Yeah, exactly.
But for you, I completely get it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm kind of weighing out options, obviously pricing and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
I'll find something.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah, like I said, turkey hunting is a fun time of year. And I know if you're listening to this, you're like, wow, spend a lot of time talking about turkey hunting and it's an Ozonics podcast. I get that. But last time I checked, the majority of the guys that turkey hunt are deer hunters too.
yeah, exactly.
And vice versa.
Yep.
And we've always said this podcast really is Ozonics, hunting, and everything in between.
Uh-huh.
And this is a big part of what we do, right?
Yeah,
like it's a
exactly.
way for us it's an excuse to get out there.
Yeah, exactly.
I love chasing turkeys.
Oh, man, it's crazy. I mean, I can't believe I didn't get into it earlier because I'm just so enthralled with every aspect of it. It's been a really fun couple of years learning, and
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah.
I really love it.
Well, and dude, you love it, and you haven't even killed one yet.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Dude, I honestly, I feel like you, when it comes to turkey hunting, you're just like, you're like rowing a boat down this river of gasoline.
Yeah, I know.
You're just rowing the boat. You're like, man, I really enjoy rowing this boat. Like, I'm really getting into this. This is fun. And the minute you kill one, I'm going to take a stick of dynamite and go, whoof, and it's just going to go boom.
I know.
And you are going to go to the moon, dude.
I know.
You think you're into it now? Wait till you kill one.
I know.
Wait till you put an arrow through one. He works in, you shoot him, you walk up to it, and it's yours.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you get to touch it and look at his fan and look at his spurs, and he kind of like tells you the story of like the life of that turkey right in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude.
I know.
I love it, man. I love turkey hunting.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. I'm
mean,
really looking forward to it.
That's going to be,
It's going to be really cool.
I might have created a monster.
What do you do?
He must be a South Pole elf. No, but yeah, it's gonna be really fun, dude.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And like I said, I think this part of it is just as much fun too.
Oh, I totally
Talking
agree.
about it, getting stuff ready, getting stuff out. You know, yeah,
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And it's like, I mean, just looking at these strikers and just the difference in them, like it truly is an art of how these guys are making these calls and putting the time into it. And like, just like the detail and stuff, I find that so cool. I love that part of it, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, that's one thing. Like I said, when we go to the consumer shows, when we're at Harrisburg, they have that one room that's all these different game calls, and there was probably at least a dozen turkey call companies in there,
probably about
or like 8 to 10 maybe.
Yeah, there's a good handful of them.
Yeah, and there'll be some at Iowa in the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
And there'll be some in Wisconsin the same way. And yeah, like you said, it's interesting to see the personal touch that kind of goes into it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I think that's really, really fun.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's like you said, we talk about how much we love turkey hunting here in the Midwest, and you want to talk about turkey hunting, go to the South.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the Southeast. There's some places in the Southeast that let out school on opening day of turkey season.
That's awesome.
I'm not even kidding.
Great.
There gets to be folklore stories about these toms that are out there that nobody can figure out a way to get killed.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it gets to be, it's a way of life,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
you know?
Yep.
And I think that's what's really cool too about NWTF, about all these different types of organizations, whether it's Pheasants Forever, NWTF,
Yeah.
Wild Sheep Foundation, Mule Deer Foundation, Ducks Unlimited, Pheasants Forever. They're all so passionate about, you know, that type of hunting and that animal that they
Yeah.
care so much about. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So, and the thing I think is really cool too about turkey hunting is we're not like in a lot of hunting, I'm kind of going way off subject here, but this is kind of a mind blow for me that sometimes I feel like I've had this thought reoccurring a lot lately. We're not that far into this like evolution of hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Like if we were to go back, like from an ancestry perspective, even looking at the United States of America, 1776, and we look at how many generations of family have come and gone or even just turkey hunting. Let's just look at turkey hunting. Like we turkey hunt, our parents turkey hunted, our grandparents turkey hunted, their grandparents turkey hunted, maybe one more generation.
Right. Yeah.
We're not that far into it yet.
Yeah, exactly.
There could be hundreds of years in front of us of turkey hunting.
Yeah, definitely.
You follow me?
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is.
Some of these NWTF has an awesome magazine that they publish, and we're fortunate we get one here at the office, and I always love looking through that.
Yeah.
And when you look at some of the history and you just get on the internet and look at where turkeys have been, transplanted, or where these turkeys came from, and when they look back at when they started having huntable seasons and things like that, even Iowa deer seasons, it's not like we're talking about 200 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Do you follow me?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
Someday when we're great grandpas and we're just a story in a hunting journal that I wrote down, whatever, like they'll be like, oh, remember back in the day?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
like
wild.
It's just kind of interesting to think about that.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool to be a part of that.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. It is very cool.
Yeah. So, yeah. And to think that turkeys almost became the national bird.
Yeah, I know. Wild.
They would have been protected, and then we would have been overrun with turkeys.
Yeah, seriously.
And then we'd be hunting bald eagles.
Yeah, crazy.
I don't think we'd be hunting bald eagles, but
yeah.
Anyway. All right, let's wrap it up. Moral of the story, hey, turkey hunting's around the corner. Let's start getting excited, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, let's start getting pumped up.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, here we go now. Come on, hey, we go.
We've been there.
Hey, we're pumped up. We're ready to go. Let's do some turkey hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Do a little turkey calling. Mm-hmm. A little ripping. Little yip yappity, yip yap, yap yap yippity.
It's going to be here so soon, man. I'm excited.
Yep. That's my slate call. That's my striker.
Oh.
It's ready.
She's ready to rock.
I don't know if it's a girl or a boy, but it's ready. I'm just calling it an it. Oh, just hair on the thing. Hey, slate call, you ready? Are you sure? Okay. That was it saying, yeah, I'm ready. Hurry up and get turkey season here.
Yeah.
And let's start shooting some turks.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude.
Okay. Thanks for listening. Another podcast in the books. Stay classy.
We will see you next week.
Stay classy. Come see us at the Iowa Deer Classic. And stay classy.